Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's edition of the Whitfield Report. I am your host, Sam Whitfield, broadcasting live from NGC1 here in South Florida. And hold on a sec. Sorry, just had to pause the live stream on my end. As I said before, I am Sam Whitfield, your aforementioned host of the Whitfield Report, broadcasting live from NGC Studios here in South Florida. And as always, I'm very grateful to be coming to you live for another Saturday edition of the show. As always, you can get into contact with me via the following social media links. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at SamW_NDC, hashtag Sam's Savages, also hashtag Whitfield Report. You can also follow the podcast at Whitfield Report, which is that's mainly where I post episodes of the show. You can also follow me on Gab or on Minds at Sam Whitfield. You can go to my main website at thesamwhitfield.com and check out my webpage there. And in case any of you are still on Facebook, for whatever reason, you can like the Facebook page at facebook.com/Whitfield Report. Don't post a whole lot on there, but we appreciate any fans over there who would be willing to give that page a like and a share as well on Facebook. Alright, folks, so a lot to cover in the news in terms of the culture wars. As most of you know, that's primarily where I'm focusing the show these days, is on the culture war. Many of you asked why I didn't do a show on Thursday as I usually do. And that the reason is primarily that I was busy with school. I had midterms right before spring break, so I had a final project that was due that I had to get done. That's done and out of the way. So I'm on spring break this coming week, so that's nice, but also I don't really have any big plans for spring break either. People always assume that since I live in Florida, or people automatically assume that native Floridians are going to have a wild party on spring break, and that may be the case for some, but there are lots of us too who, native Floridians tend to avoid the spring break crowds at all costs. I wouldn't really call myself a Florida native. Obviously, I'm from Colorado, but still. Now that I've lived here for 6 years, I've learned to avoid the spring break crowd and also to avoid the snowbirds at all cost. So, I won't be doing anything out of the ordinary for break, other than maybe having a few more live streams with you guys during the week. That may be the height of my break, actually. So if there are any topics that you would like me to cover, maybe during a bonus live stream, let me know. As I said before, you can reach me on Twitter or Instagram and let me know that. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so I wanted to get into this Jack Dorsey versus Tim Pool thing on Instagram. Obviously, this was the big news of the internet this week, and there was a lot to cover this week in terms of Twitter and the whole social media wars. I want to cover I want to play a clip excerpt of the Jack Dorsey Tim Pool debate on the Joe Rogan podcast, and obviously there was the Vijaya lady who I can't remember her name, but she's the head of safety and community guidelines at Twitter. So in other words, she's the top SJW. She was mainly the one that Tim took on in this segment regarding the use of what Twitter considers offensive speech and stuff like that. I'm only going to play a quick clip of this segment to highlight what I think was Tim's best moment in this debate, and then I'll dive in further as to what this all means. Clip number 1, roll the tape.
And I believe that to be the case.
So your platform restricts speech.
Our platform promotes speech unless people violate our rules.
And in a specific direction.
In any direction.
But I don't want to say his name. The guy who calls for death gets a suspension. The guy who insinuates death gets a permanent ban.
But Tim, you're misinterpreting what I'm saying, and I feel like you're doing it deliberately. It's not about one particular thing. It's about a pattern and practice of violating our rules.
And you have a pattern and practice of banning only one faction of people.
I don't agree with that.
Quillette recently published an article where they looked at 22 high-profile bannings from 2015 and found 21 of them were only on one side of the cultural debate.
But I don't look at the political spectrum of people when I'm looking at their tweets.
Right, you have a bias.
I don't know who they are.
You're biased, and you're targeting specific individuals because your rules support this perspective.
No, I don't agree with that.
Well,
so can you be clear though in like what rules support that perspective?
Specifically, the easiest one is misgendering, right? Because that's so clearly ideological. If you ask a conservative, what is misgendering? They'll say if someone is biologically male, and you call them, she. Biologically male, and you call them a she, that's misgendering. That's a conservative view. The progressive view is inverted. So now you actually have in your policies a rule against the conservative perspective.
I have a rule against the abuse and harassment of trans people on our platform. That's what my rules
Can we just give context in the background as to
why that is? And I brought some research. So we obviously received a lot of feedback. So we don't make these rules in a vacuum, just to be clear.
Pause. This is the first. I meant to pause this a few seconds earlier, but that was Tim's first major point about Twitter's inherent bias when targeting conservatives, specifically with the gender pronoun. And what Vijaya says here about not looking at this stuff in a vacuum is complete crap, because obviously they do look at this stuff in a vacuum in the sense that it's all ideologically driven when they look at this stuff, and you're going to hear an example of this coming up. So cut number 2 of this clip. Let's continue.
We have a bunch of people all around the world who give us context on the types of behavior they're seeing, how that translates into real world harm. And they give us feedback, and they tell us, like, you should consider different types of rules, different types of perspectives, different, like, for example, when we try to enforce hateful conduct in our hateful conduct policy in a particular country, we're not going to know all the slur words that are used to target people of a particular race or a particular religion. So we're going to rely on building out a team of experts all around the world who are going to help us enforce our rules. So in the particular case of misgendering, I'm just trying to pull up some of the studies that we looked at. But we looked at the American Association of Pediatrics and looked at the number of transgender youths that were committing suicide. It's an astronomical, I'm sorry, I can't find it right now in front of me. It's a really, really high statistic. That's like 10 times what the normal suicide rate is of normal teenagers. And we looked at the causes of what that was happening. And a lot of it was not just violence towards those individuals, but it was bullying behavior. And what were those bullying behaviors that were contributing to that? And that's why we made this rule, because we thought and we believe that those types of behaviors were happening on our platform, and we wanted to stop it.
So notice that she doesn't specifically mention that there was any data directly correlating to Twitter, but she says we think this behavior is happening on Twitter. But yet the data's not there. Also, she failed to point out that the suicide rate for post-op transgender people is sadly brutal anyway. Now, yes, bullying may be a factor in this, but I've read studies, and I don't have them in front of me, where the suicide rate in terms of the transgender community is absolutely brutal. Regardless of interaction on social media. So this really doesn't mean a damn thing at all. Continuing on.
There are exceptions to this rule. We don't, and this isn't about like public figures, and there's always going to be public figures that you're going to want to talk about, and that's fine. But this is about, are you doing something with the intention of abusing and harassing a trans person on the platform? And are they viewing it that way and reporting it to us so that we take action?
So I will just state, I actually agree with the rule. From my point of view, I agree that bullying and harassing trans people is entirely wrong. I disagree with it. But I just want to make sure it's clear to everybody who's listening. My point is simply that, Ben Shapiro went on a talk show and absolutely refused. And that's his shtick, and he's one of the biggest podcasts in the world. So if you have all of his millions upon millions of followers who are looking at this rule saying this goes against my view of the world, and it's literally 60 plus million in this country, you do have a rule that's ideologically bent. And it's true. You did the research. You believe this. Well, then you have Ben Shapiro who did his research and doesn't believe it.
Yeah, and I relied on the American Association of Pediatrics and Human Rights Council and other. And
I'm sure he has his sources too for when he gives his statements. The point is,
but I just wonder if they have that context. And that's where we have also failed, as well as just explaining the why behind a lot of our policy and reasons.
I would agree, and I think it's.
Arcade in the chat brought up a great point. He says, I was banned from Twitter for using a GIF with no words I found on their platform. There sure are exceptions. Yeah, and see, that's the other problem with this. And I know that people give Joe Rogan a lot of shit for having Jack Dorsey on the podcast a few months ago. But as I said before, I've been one of the only defenders of Joe Rogan for having Jack on the podcast. And yeah, I mean, Joe didn't go firm on Jack Dorsey back then like he should have, but it was a very revealing interview back then, because if you recall, and I don't have the clip of this in the roster, but Jack pretty much says that like a lot of this behavior monitoring is all done by algorithms and whatnot. Now, okay, that's a lazy way of partially shifting the blame from from him himself and the Twitter staff and saying, oh, well, a lot of this policing is due to algorithms. But someone, I've done some coding. It's been a while. I haven't done any coding since high school. But, I know my way around computer code. And one thing that I know for certain that anyone could tell you, a kindergarten could tell you, is that someone has to program those algorithms in the first place, right? An actual human has to key code those algorithms in the first place. So maybe did someone perhaps code an algorithm that just saw Johnny's tweet and automatically banned him? Yeah, that could be the case. Someone might have just coded an algorithm that automatically saw that. So a person might not have been involved, but at the same time, someone coded that algorithm in the first place. So that is a huge problem because someone is still in charge of programming all these algorithms. And even when they do a manual review process, there is still an inherent bias. So clip number 3. Let's see. Let's continue on.
And you did research and you found this to be true, but we can't simply say maybe Ben Shapiro and the other conservatives who feel this way don't know. We can't, the point I'm trying to make is it's simply whether you believe it, whether you justify it or not is not the point. The point is you do have this rule. That rule is at odds with conservatives, period.
Well, I think that you're generalizing, but I think it is really important, as Jack said, to the why behind these things. The why is to protect people from abuse and harassment on our platform.
I understand, but you essentially created a protected class if this is the case, because despite these studies and what these studies are showing, there's a gigantic suicide rate.
She is kind of hot. Can I just say that? She is kind of hot, but in the same way that the that like some what are those mythical creatures called? In the same way the sirens are hot, yeah. Deceptive, but extremely pretty. So, just putting that out there.
Amongst trans people, period. It's a 40%. It's outrageously large. Now, whether that is because of gender dysphoria, whether that is because of the complications from sexual surgery, sexual transition surgery, whether it's because of bullying, whether it's because of this awful feeling of being born in the wrong gender, whether that all that is yet to be determined. Mm-hmm. The fact that they've shown that there's a large amount of trans people that are committing suicide, I don't necessarily think that makes sense in terms of people from someone's perspective like a Ben Shapiro saying that if you are biologically female, if you are born with a double X chromosome, you will never be XY. If he says that, that's a violation of your policy. And you're creating a protected class.
To be fair, yes. Targeted.
Yeah, it is. If it's targeted
Joe nailed it right there with that remark, in that Twitter essentially did create a protected class. Now, I'm not going to play the entire clip because, otherwise this video will probably get struck. Granted, it probably already has a copyright claim waiting for me, so, anyway, just wanted to play those excerpts. I think that was the best example where Tim absolutely whooped Vagina Jack on this case. There's another video from Tim Pool's channel that not a lot of people have seen. It's not as popular, but Tim actually did a follow-up video to this podcast on his own channel that talks about how Twitter's overall use is declining. Now, part of that is because not as many people are signing off, but another part I would assume is the fact that Twitter is banning so many of the people that would use their platform on a daily basis. So therefore, not as many people are signing up just in general either. This is a video from Tim's channel on, let's see. The title of this video is Twitter is Dying and Jack Dorsey is Making It Worse. So this is from Tim Pool's channel. This was uploaded yesterday, I believe. So March 8th, 2019. Let's roll the tape.
As many of you probably know, I was recently on the Joe Rogan Experience with Jack Dorsey, and many people were curious as to why Jack would actually come on this platform and confront me or have a discussion with me when they clearly would have known I would present them with some impossible questions they couldn't defend. In many circumstances, they couldn't defend them. I don't think I did a perfect job. There's a lot of things I wasn't able to bring up, but a lot of people appreciated that at least the conversation happened. Now, I think the reason Jack had the conversation is because Twitter is dying. According to several different metrics over the past year, and even recently released by Twitter themselves, it seems like they're actually dying. They're not that relevant, but they...
As I said before, and I'm saying this mainly, to keep this in fair use, but the reason why Twitter is dying, my take on it is because they're mass banning a lot of their users. So that's why Twitter is dying. The people who want to use their platform to tweet and spread messages aren't able to. So, continuing on.
do hold a certain amount of influence in our political landscape, which is why I'm so concerned with the issue. Jack, it would seem, is trying to maximize the amount of people who use the platform, and that means getting rid of people who hold opinions that might make people upset. But where does that bring us? It would seem that the demise of Twitter is absolutely inevitable, because banning people makes them and their friends want to leave, and not banning mean people makes other people want to leave, so what's your solution? Apparently it's nothing. I think Jack decided to have the conversation with me, Sam Harris, Gad Sad, and others because he knows he's losing users on a certain side of the cultural debate. And it seems like there is no solution to guarantee the continued growth of Twitter, and it's only going to continue to become less relevant today. Let's take a look at some of the recently released news about Twitter, and I'll go over some issues with Silicon Valley. And I gotta say, I think the era of the tech oligarchs of Silicon Valley having so much influence in politics might actually be coming to an end. But this, we'll see. Let's look at the articles.
It might be coming to an end, but it's going to be a slow end. So, I kind of want Sam to start quoting Peaky Blinders. Yeah, I've actually got to start watching that show. I'm in the midst, actually, on a tangent of finishing the first season of True Detective, which I'll actually get into film and television later on in the show, so stay tuned.
Let's just jump right into it. But first, make sure you follow me on Minds.
Yeah.
Minds.com/Timcast.
Okay.
We also have a page set up at Minds.com/Subverse where we have a distributed newsroom. The plan, get you involved, have you share stories, user bases, and it's a lot smaller than Snapchat's. Twitter has 126 million daily users compared to Snap's 186 million. It's also important to point out this is global. If the United States has 330 million people or so, 145 million or so in the workforce, then it would stand to reason that America may have the majority of these users, but it's still very small relative to the actual amount of people working in the US. Recode asks, how big is Twitter's daily user base? A lot smaller than Snapchat's, it turns out. For years, Twitter has been asking investors to judge the company by looking at user growth.
Now, I will admit, this is actually kind of surprising to me. Maybe it's just a perspective thing, but I've never really seen what the use of Snapchat is. Technically I have one, but I can't even remember what it is or really what the purpose is. And I get that people use Snapchat for other purposes, shall we say. But this is actually surprising that Snapchat has a bigger base. I suppose statistically, if you were to look, Snapchat would probably have a bigger usage base among celebrities and models, I'm guessing, as opposed to Twitter. But I would say that people in my field, commentators, journalists, etc., Twitter would probably still have the bigger base. So let's see if there's any more clarification into the specific stats.
Its daily active users, but Twitter never shared how many daily active users it actually had, which made the year-over-year growth hard to appreciate. That changed on Thursday, when Twitter shared its daily user total for the first time. Twitter has 126 million daily users, which is 60 million fewer users than Snapchat. That means roughly 39% of Twitter's monthly active users are on the app every day. The new metric matters to Twitter because it paints a picture that Twitter is growing. Twitter's monthly active user base, the user metric it has shared quarterly since its IPO in 2013, is shrinking and has been for some time. So focusing on daily users instead of monthly users lets Twitter show that it's growing, which is a much happier story to tell. In fact, Twitter said it will stop sharing the monthly active total altogether beginning this year. Twitter will tell you that it's not fair to compare directly to Snapchat. That's because Twitter says it's only counting users who could be exposed to ads, what it's referring to as its monetizable audience. Snapchat, Twitter would argue, counts users who open the app, send a message, and leave without ever getting to the part of the app where Snapchat serves ads. Though in reality, it seems like someone could use Twitter for the same purpose. It's not a super compelling argument, but if you want to find a defense for Twitter, at least its audience is still growing. Snapchat's user base didn't grow at all in 2018. Twitter's daily active user metric also gives us a sense of how much room Twitter has left to grow. The company's monthly active user totals has been declining. So barring a miraculous turnaround that suddenly drives a lot more new people to Twitter, the company is betting it can get more of those existing monthly users to open the app more often. That can't go on forever, of course, but Twitter has a lot of room between its monthly and daily totals. It seems like a clever way to convince people your platform is growing. And it's actually not. Well, maybe this is based on monthly active users versus daily users, and you could use whichever metric you want, but basically, what it sounds like they're saying is, Twitter has hundreds of millions of people, most of whom don't actually use the service. They've signed up and they don't do anything. Even among their active users, some people only take action within the app or on the website a couple times per month. So you have the upper limit, this big, broad idea.
The other thing I would like to point out, and this is being serious here, is that there are people with multiple accounts too. For instance, my SamW_NDC one is an account that I use daily. A couple times. Well, I use it daily. The Whitfield Report Twitter, mainly, that's a fairly inactive Twitter account. I don't use that one very often. I really only use that one to promote streams and to post links to the audio podcast of this show. Also, if my main account gets banned or suspended, which it sometimes will, for ridiculous reasons, you'll also see me on the Whitfield Report Twitter, but mainly it's fairly inactive. Maybe it gets a few times of use per month, but that's it.
Monthly users. Daily users are smaller than that. So while their total monthly users are going down, there are some people who are using the app more and daily, so it looks like they're growing. And this is the narrative that's been going on for quite some time. In fact, back in November, we heard a similar story. Twitter user growth remains stagnant as teens stay away. We can see in this graph that from 2015 to 2018, there's actually been a decent decline. Now
So what you're basically telling me, Tim, is that I'm no longer hip or cool because the teenagers they're staying away from Twitter now. I guess I'm now part of the old people's crowd if I'm using Twitter. That's what I'm taking away from this.
See an increase from 2016 into 2017, and I'd probably assume this has to do with Donald Trump. He really put Twitter on the map in a huge way. The news won't stop talking about it, and he got a bunch of older people to use the platform to see what he had to say. We can see, however, that revenue growth, the lighter shade of blue, dropped dramatically.
Translation, Jack should be kissing POTUS's ass about that. Because President Trump even helped Twitter grow. So there we go.
Up until 2017, where it's increased. So this is important. Twitter may be dying by some metrics. They may be trying to use clever language to make it seem like they're not dying. But so long as they can convince whatever people they have on the platform to use the platform more often, their revenue will grow, and this is good news for Twitter. The story from PC Mag points out that for nearly 3 years, their growth was completely stagnant as it pertains to monthly active users. And as of now, it's actually taken a turn in the negative direction. We may just be facing the beginning of the end, but in this graph, we can see the number of monthly active Twitter users in the United States from first quarter to 2010 to third quarter of 2018, and we can see it has just started to decline. Now, maybe there's a lot of reasons for this, I don't really know, but I think this is why recently Jack Dorsey has decided to have so many conversations. Something bad has happened, and they've started to lose users, and he's got to figure out how to fix this. I want to highlight this.
Here, I've got a simple solution, Jack. Fix your algorithms, stop banning people. Start banning bots, because you're not really getting a lot of those. And also, maybe put like an NSFW filter on your platform too, dude. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say.
From r/Twitter. It doesn't have a whole lot of traction. It was never very big, but some random user, I don't want to put any false weight behind who they are, asked this question: is Twitter dying? I'm actually serious. I've noticed a lot of the people I was following don't tweet as much anymore, and the people who I thought was really funny now getting suspended without warning. It's like every platform that has an opportunity to turn into something big ruins it by implementing BS rules. Again, I want to stress, I don't think a random Twitter comment shows a trend or anything like that. It's an annoying tactic media tends to do. But I wanted to show this to just explain some sentiment you may see. And I think the sentiment is prevalent among more people associated with the right. Why is Jack Dorsey doing these interviews with the intellectual dark web and people about conservatives? Admittedly,
because he's trying to suck up to us? Because he knows that we're the main victims. Okay. He shouldn't be, Alyssa. I'll go check while this clip is playing, though. This will be the last segment of the stream of the pool analysis that I'll play. But yeah, I mean, I think a large part of that is, as OJ's White Bronco points out, Jack Dorsey is pandering. OJ's Bronco, you're exactly right. So I think Jack Dorsey knows he's screwed, and he knows that he needs to do something about it. So
the Joe Rogan podcast was for liberals talking about conservative bias, but sure. I think the reason is there are people who are starting to recognize that funny people are being banned, people are being harassed. Twitter is generally a really awful platform. Why is Twitter so adamant about protecting journalists when the hashtag #LearnToCode thing happened? It's because they're the lifeblood of the platform, the most influential part of the platform, and they give Twitter meaning. Look at all of these viral stories that were complete and utter nonsense that traveled far and wide because of Twitter, Covington being the best example. How many journalists wrote fake news because they saw a story on Twitter and did no research? It is an addiction. It's a bad platform. It is. And with Jack Dorsey trying to constantly police conversations, it only makes it worse. People then get upset that funny people get banned. We see parody accounts being banned, and then they have to get reinstated. We see people unjustly suspended or banned, and they have to complain to get reinstated. And this only really works for people who are high profile. That means low-level users are being purged from the platform. I admit, Jack Dorsey is between a rock and a hard place. Their monthly active users have started to dip. They've started offending certain people. The bad PR about their bias is only getting worse. And I don't think they're going to find a solution to this. Because Jack does bring up a really good point in the podcast when he said he wants to figure out how to get as many people as possible to have healthy conversations. That makes sense from a business point of view. He needs more users to grow, to increase share price, to make money, to make sure that the platform doesn't collapse. So he doesn't care about the ramifications on politics. What he wants to do is maximize user growth and bring that money in. But what does that mean for us? The platform has gotten so big, it does have an impact on our politics. And while it is a private platform and they have no obligation to guarantee access to anybody, at a certain point we have to recognize the detriment to the government. Does Twitter have a right to user growth? Absolutely not. So if they're going to impact our politics and Jack wants to restrict certain legal speech because he wants to make his business grow, well then we have a serious problem. I don't care about the private interests of a publicly traded company. I care about the interests of our community and whether or not this will be healthy. But
And I think that point that Tim brought up there is, quite honestly, the best point that could be made about this whole thing. Twitter doesn't have a right to user growth inherently, and yet they are a major player. The other thing I've argued in the past is that both Twitter and Facebook love to say in their marketing campaigns and in their PR material, you always hear the term that we're basically like an open platform and a community for anyone to join, and we're basically like a public utility. They don't say we're a public utility, but they say we're like a public utility. So if that's the case, then why are you banning certain people? If you want to act like a free platform for everyone, then be a platform. Let everyone on. And let the marketplace of ideas take hold. If you want to be more selective of who you allow on, then by all means do so, but basically be upfront and open about your bias. That's all a lot of us are asking for regarding Twitter. That's all I'm asking for anyway. Just be open and transparent about your bias. And if you don't want conservatives on the platform, just say so. But I don't think that's a good move for you, Jack. I think you will regret it, and it seems like you already are. So that's that for the whole Tim Pool segment. Now, I have another big topic that I want to discuss here on the show. Captain Marvel is the latest blockbuster film to come out of Marvel Studios, and it generated a lot of controversy, mainly because the film is basically an SJW feminist, it's Marvel has basically taken the same dive into social justice warrioring as the Ghostbusters film did. Or I should say the one that came out a few years ago. Now, obviously there's a lot of commentary on how bad the film has been, but I want to direct you to a specific piece from Christian Toto, who is a conservative movie reviewer. I know, not very many of those around. He runs the blog Hollywood and Toto, and fun fact, Christian Toto is also from, or at least he lives in, Denver, Colorado, and he's also a follower of mine, so I might get him on the show to talk movies one of these days, depending on how his schedule is. Anyway, this article comes from his blog, hollywoodandtoto.com. Headline, The Big Lie Behind Captain Marvel's Feminist Fight, by Christian Toto, Hopefully the ads don't pop up too badly here. Oh, and by the way, Alyssa, Nacho is not blocked in the chat anymore. I had him blocked at one point because I didn't know it was him. I thought it was a spam account, and he has multiple accounts too. So, but he should be in the available to chat now. So, The Big Lie Behind Captain Marvel's Feminist Fight by Christian Toto. Here's what the media won't tell you about the haters attacking Brie Larson's new film. The battle over Captain Marvel began well before its March 8th release date. The first female-led MCU feature since the franchise transformed Hollywood. Let me move this over. Stars Brie Larson as the colorfully clad hero. The film's marketing team played up the feminist angle, knowing that Hollywood reporters would take the bait. Larson did the rest. She bounced from interview to interview, talking up the film's feminist bona fides. She insisted only certain reporters got the chance to pepper her with softball questions. It also didn't escape savvy film fans how last year Larson insisted white male reviewers were the wrong choice to opine on A Wrinkle in Time. Why? The film's lead was biracial, and the director, a woman of choice, Ava DuVernay of Selma fame. The film wasn't meant for them. Add it all together, and plenty of folks claim they'll pass on Captain Marvel. On Marvel, said folks are mostly white and male, so alienated by Larson's divisive rhetoric. And that's a problem for outlets like liberal Daily Beast. A movie like Captain Marvel, starring a pretty young woman who doesn't care to make her opinions palatable to men, about a character more powerful than any in the MCU, was never going to sit well with the kind of superhero fan who tell a woman to smile more. Is the Daily Beast right? Let's take a look at the film which beat Captain Marvel to the finish line. 2 years ago, DC Comics unleashed Wonder Woman. The film marked the first major female-led super saga of Marvel of modern times. Yes, we've previously seen Supergirl, Catwoman, and Red Sonja, among others. Still, Wonder Woman hit theaters at the peak of our Comic-Con obsession. So what happened next? Did the film star Gal Gadot transform into Gloria Steinem during her press tour? Did DC Comics or Warner Brothers, the studio behind the film, play the gender card in their marketing materials? Did white male fans care that our character could whip Batman in a fight? No. The film simply wowed critics, made Gadot an A-list star, and paved the way for a sequel. And ne'er a troll or man-child huffed and puffed about its existence or success. It's likely some did, but hardly in the kind of numbers that would be seen on pop culture radar screens. Those same trolls and man-children also stood down when female-led action films like Peppermint Miss Bella, Alita Battle Angel, and Atomic Blonde, based on a graphic novel, hit theaters. No protests, no outcries that only men should be vigilantes and action heroes. There's more. Talk of a solo Black Widow feature starring Scarlett Johansson has suddenly earned little online outrage. Clearly, Captain Marvel is different. The film's team, from its star to the marketing gurus, are purposely stroking the culture wars. See our movie or you're not woke. Object to our movie and you hate women. This isn't escapism 101. As previous MCU outings provided, it's time to learn about gender inequality. Seems like an odd marketing play. Just asks the lady Ghostbusters. Let's see. The all-female reboot of the beloved franchise followed the Captain Marvel blueprint. Embrace the film's gender play. Declare how vital it is for young girls to have female Ghostbuster role models. Denounce anyone aghast at the casting choices or be a hater, or worse. Guess what happened next? Ghostbusters underperformed. The film cracked the $100 million mark at the box office, normally a sure sign of success. That wasn't enough. The film's bloated budget negated these figures. Multiple news outlets estimated Ghostbusters cost Sony $70 million. The rebooted franchise stalled before the son of the film's original director, Jason Reitman, announced late last year that he'll be directing a new Ghostbusters, sans the ladies. It's clear that the film's antagonistic approach to its core audiences didn't help the film's bottom line. Will the same happen to Captain Marvel? Probably not, at least not at first. The MCU brand is as strong as any film's property in 2019. The franchise's string of hits, including Black Panther, Doctor Strange, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and Avengers Infinity War, weren't enough to coax viewers to see Captain Marvel. It's both review and woke-proof. What happens next? Movies like Captain Marvel can't simply crush the $100 million box office barrier. They need to make double that at the very least, while delivering overseas too. That's where the woke Captain Marvel posture could come into play. That and the fact that even some female critics agree that the film is a dud, meaning all the lecturing in the world might not have been enough. There's a harder lesson for the MCU. Woke politics transformed the beloved Star Wars franchise into a culture war victim. Oh boy, don't let Jolly in here. He'll have a lot to say about this. The Last Jedi didn't obliterate the box office as expected. Solo, a Star Wars story, dramatically underperformed. Longtime fans saw politically correct robots, Mary Sue figures, and class warfare shtick and said, "Where's the Star Wars I know and love?" Suddenly, the 9th installment in the saga isn't a sure box office thing. It'll make money, no doubt, but it likely won't touch what The Force Awakens hauled in 4 years ago. Captain Marvel may too make a mint despite the anti-marketing campaign. Maybe several. The damage to the MCU brand may still be considerable. Alright, so that is the end of the article, and yeah, let me just say here that I think people are just... I completely agree with Toto's analysis here. It's not that people aren't inherently against films with strong female leads or TV shows with strong female leads. Buffy the Vampire Slayer was definitely a television show with a strong female lead, and a movie as well. Wonder Woman, as mentioned before, also had a strong female lead. And surprisingly, no one has brought up the fact that in the MCU, there is also Jessica Jones. Now, Jessica Jones is obviously a Netflix TV show that, like the rest of the MCU TV shows by Netflix, has gotten axed. But, none of these feminists wanted to bring up the fact that Jessica Jones existed or that it does well, particularly among male demographics and female demographics, a lot. So, yep, and as Torben points out, Xena Warrior Princess is great as well. So, my wild theory was that the media made up this whole hoax that people were against Captain Marvel. Right? Obviously, they wrote puff pieces, but they also wrote pieces saying that people were inherently outraged by Captain Marvel. And obviously, Brie Larson did a lot about herself, but I don't think people are necessarily outraged by Captain Marvel so much as they are disappointed. And I think some of that outrage is manufactured to generate outcome. It's like that movie a few years ago. I can't even remember the name of it now, but there was that really bad comedy with Seth Rogen and James Franco, where they go to North Korea to kill Kim Jong-il at the time. And remember there was that like whole controversy that the Chinese had like DDoSed Sony Pictures. Well, that turned out to be a fake, and manufactured outrage to drum up anticipation for this film. And all I'm saying is that that could be the case here as well. So that's just my opinion. I could be wrong on that. So anyway, let me read a few of the chats here and kind of take a quick break here. So let's see. Kate Scarlett says, I'm excited for the new Dune movie. Yeah, I'm actually excited for the Dune movie myself, especially if Denis Villeneuve is directing it. I actually loved Blade Runner 2049. Not as much as the original Blade Runner. The first Blade Runner is one of my all-time favorite masterpieces, and yes, for those of you who were asking a few months ago, that was Rick Deckard as my avatar. So, and by the way, happy Blade Runner year, folks. It is 2019. So, come November, I may have to have a cyberpunk theme somewhat on this show. Yeah. Oh, so John Bear jumped into the stream, and yes, Nacho, I know that's you. Sorry, I don't know what's been going on. You're not blocked anymore, but YouTube's acting strange, including the fact that a lot of people did not get the stream notification right when it came on, apparently. So, apologies about that. But, so there aren't too many more topics to bring up tonight, but I would like to cover, one last thing. Before we ride off into the sunset, or I guess ride off into the full moon, seeing as how it is 10 p.m. I haven't talked about Owen Benjamin for a few weeks now. And, you know, for what it's worth, I'm glad I took a break from Owen Benjamin because, my sanity desperately needed a break from, all things Owen Benjamin. Certainly. But there have been some, relatively new developments that, I want to cover because, I mean, I wouldn't say, how do I phrase this? Things with Owen Benjamin have been concerning, okay? So, so this is absolutely nothing new. What did you think about the new Murdoch episode? Do you mean, are you referring to Daredevil? OJ's White Bronco? Because I thought season 3 of Daredevil was great. Let's see. Yeah, I'll take a quick break before I dive into the Ellen stuff. But yeah, I mean, season 3 of Daredevil was amazing. As far as like Rupert Murdoch and whatnot, I'm not really sure what you're referring to. So So, yeah. Katie Scarlett also says, I'm outraged because Captain Marvel has no place in Avengers Endgame. That's not technically Katie Scarlett. I remember in the comics, the original Captain Marvel, who was a guy and whatnot, the original Captain Marvel had a lot to do with the original Thanos story arc, I believe. But, anyway. As I was saying, the Owen Benjamin shit, continues to be more concerning, as the saga, I guess, degresses is the best way to put it. And where to start with all this? Well, how about the fact that Owen Benjamin has now officially made a call to arms and basically said that people, well, no, but before I get to that, Owen is finally admitting that the Eric Nimmer situation is taking an emotional toll on him. He's admitted that the Eric Nimmer situation took an emotional toll on him, and boy, this is not looking like we're seeing a man who is already in a downward spiral, and it's not even funny anymore. It's just sad and pathetic how bad the Nimmer situation. So this is actually legitimately concerning. I'm not even joking here, folks. The Nim job situation, as Niraj points out, is it's really depressing Owen. So yeah. This comes from John Arcade's clip channel, so thank you, Mr. Johnny Arcade. This is Owen Benjamin. Owen Benjamin talking about how the Nimmer situation has really broken him up emotionally. Clip number 4. Go.
I have to grow our community with other comedians right now. So this is what I need. I need to shoot. Yeah, but see, this gets very emotionally dicey. I was like, grooming has been associated with pedophilia, but that's insane. It's a word that means a lot of things. Eric Nimmer, I was grooming to be a great comedian, and he was a liar. He said he was a Marine, and he wasn't, and he said he had brain cancer, and I gave him thousands of dollars to help his brain cancer, and he never had brain cancer. So I'm a little hurt. I was like grooming him to have his own career and like trying to shoot his specials and shit. No, grooming's good. Grooming was the PC term to take away from rape. Sculpting, I don't know. Advising,
mentoring.
So I'm not gonna lie. If I lie, you guys, I can't. All you would hear is one click. I can't live that way.
Okay, notice that, and I'm not implying here anything, folks, but this is just an observation. He's been doing suicide innuendos a lot. As you saw, he did the blowing his brain out innuendo just now when saying that he's basically incapable of lying, and if he does lie, he's going to blow his brains out, which, I mean, lying is part of human nature, and everyone lies. I'm not excusing it, but, I mean, no one's perfect. We've all lied, and maybe we've all fibbed before, and if that's a case for suicide, then geez. So, more suicide and innuendos. Terrific, Owen.
Hurt. Like I have a heart. I'm like, I put so much into Eric that like I'm not even touring right now. I'm like really sad. I'm not sad overall. Like my life's good. I'm doing my thing. But like when I think about touring without Eric, and I can't ignore that. I can't like forgive him. The guy sucks. He's never talked to me since I called him out. He's a liar on the worst levels, and
Okay, now hold up. Owen, that right there is a lie. You did not call Nimmer out until you were backed into a corner. But I'll tell you who did call Nimmer out. The DZ called Nimmer out. Brian called Nimmer out. I called Nimmer out. Months ago, there are people who I'm not going to name who called Nimmer out way before you did. And you didn't want to hear about the whole Nimmer situation back then because Nimmer was your boy. You denied the stolen valor claims. Even when Chuck got the evidence, got the FOIA request, you denied it. When veterans and servicemen said to you, hey dude, this looks bad, you basically told everyone off. You were, up until you were backed into a corner and someone somewhere, and I'm not privy to any of the conversation, so I don't know how it went down exactly. But I'm assuming that someone in your inner circle basically had to tell you, dude, it's too late. You have to admit that Nimmer screwed you. So only when it was too late did you admit that Nimmer was a fraud and whatnot. So, you didn't expose Nimmer or do anything. We did. Months and months and months ago. Yeah. They blatantly slandered me because, Brian, we're getting to all of that too. Mark my words. But yeah, Owen didn't do anything to expose Nimmer. He doubled down on Nimmer until it was too late. And now he's got and now he's doing this whole depressed shtick, which may not be a shtick. He may be genuinely depressed. But if so, I mean, I don't really have sympathy for him because he brought all of this on himself. That's all I can say. He brought all of this on himself.
Manipulated me. I can't imagine who would open for me. It's like I'm a little damaged. But I really want to help other comedians, and I want to grow their career outside the B system. Was he a Jew? No, he's a nig. He's a black. He's black.
Oh, great! More anti-Semitic, shit too.
Sam Tripoli. Sam Tripoli's an Armenian pimp. I'll open for you. No, but I don't know who. It's like I will get better at this. I have to grow the alternative to the beast. One of the reasons you guys support me, and I take it as a obligation, not as a praise. Like when you guys get subscriptions and Super Chat and all that, it's not like, oh no, this is for me. At this point, now that I'm covered, I have to grow our world. So
he admits that he's covered, that he's pretty much set, and now he's trying to pass off the whole subscription and super chats thing as, oh, I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it for the community, and I'm trying to grow the community of comedians, of entertainers who want to, work outside the mainstream. Okay, Owen. Well, if that's the case, then I'd like some of that money to grow my channel and to grow my production value. I'd like some of that pie. I know you're not gonna give it to me, but I'm just saying if you're opening up the well, so to speak, then let some of us draw from that well. But obviously, he's not going to do that. It's also very narcissistic of him too, to believe that he's going to be the one to grow the comedy community, and he's going to be the one to save the world. Right? That's his narcissistic hero complex.
To make other comedians known. I need to produce their specials. I need to help them with touring. I need to compete against the beast. I'm hurt. So, people aren't going to steal from me and lie to me. Like, dude, it's been the Nimmer thing hurt so bad. I didn't express it to you guys because there's so many trolls and so many people that were like dying for it that
Brian, I don't want his money either. But I'm saying if he's, well, he does need to fix his lies. Yeah. He needs to, the interesting thing is he wants to build the community. He wants to build, other stand-up comedians and bring them to fame. Okay, let me explain something, Owen. I'm followed by a lot of amateur comedians, by a lot of upstart comedians. Some of my friends who I grew up with, who I knew in high school, they're starting out their stand-up comedy careers. Some of them are pretty damn funny too. And let me just say, any of the upstarts who have heard your name don't want anything to do with you. They look at your content and, they see what you've been doing lately with this whole unbearable thing. And even the amateurs know it's bad. Look, I'm a channel with only like 240 subscribers. And a lot of my friends who are in comedy would rather go on my show, on my stream. Granted, I'm not connected to any clubs, but my show is less of a PR nightmare potential for them than any of your stuff is. So stop focusing on trying to build other people and, first of all, fix, come clean about all the messes you've made. And apologize to Brian and to the other gentleman who you falsely accused of, doing some heinous shit.
I didn't express it to you guys, but like, it was very, very hurtful. To the point where I'm like, but I can't quit or succumb to that shit. Obviously, I'm not a faggot. But like, just understand that like, that never...
No, Owen, you are. You actually are a faggot. You're not a homosexual, but you're a fag just because you're a low person. And you have low moral character. And you blame everyone else for your situation. You know what's bothering you, Owen? It's your... Deep down, you do have a conscience. And your self-conscience is eating you up at night because you've fucked up. And that's what's eating you up.
Stole my heart. I had him with my son.
By the way, that laugh, that particular type of wheezy, sick laugh, that is the laugh of a low functioning alcoholic. I called it months ago that the alcoholism is setting in, and Owen, you've got to get yourself into Alcoholics Anonymous, dude, or something. You've got to get yourself into treatment. My uncle, folks, I've been pretty open about this. My uncle, who I was close to, he was like a second father. My uncle, who he was an alcoholic as well. He was never mean or nasty. In fact, quite the opposite. He was an alcoholic who was, genuine, and he was the type of guy who would give the shirt off his back for you if you needed it. But, he started to, near the end, once his alcoholism got really bad, he exhibited symptoms, paranoia, just outbursts of rage, more paranoia, and he also had that really creepy, sickly laugh, that wheeze. And every time I've seen a clip of Owen and he laughs like that, it gives me the chills, kind of, because it reminds me of a relative. So, yeah, let's see. Sorry.
On my trampoline in my yard. I gave him $10,000. Not that matters, but that's food. And he would always be like, yo, man, you didn't need to do that. I know you're the one with kids. He lied about everything. He said he had brain cancer. He said he was a Marine with fucking PTSD.
Again, people tried warning you of all this, and you didn't want to hear it back then. So, I'm not sure what you're bitching about, Owen. People warned you.
Him into my world. And so now trying to trust comedians, I'm like, most comedians are fucking assholes.
Yeah, you're right, they are. And you're in that category, bucko. You're the biggest asshole comedian that I know of. It sucks looking in the mirror, doesn't it? I'm not done. This is only the first clip I have.
And it's all good. It's not about me. But I want to expand this. I want to produce other comedians specials. I want to help you. I don't want to let comedy die and become stuck up Amy Schumer's fat Jew ass. So I have to get past this, but I'm really it caused me a tremendous amount of pain to the point.
Amy Schumer's fat Jew ass. I kind of have to admit that is humorous. But you're not the one to stop Amy Schumer, bud. Trust me, you're not the guy. So well, Brian, you'll have to wait and see. I've got a whole bunch more stuff. So, is this video worth playing? No, they're only like 30 seconds. So, let's see. So that was the first bit of Owen's unhingement that has me concerned. The self-pity. And look, I've been there too. I've fucked up before myself. I've felt shitty about stuff that I've done before. I don't go on a live stream and air my dirty laundry to people all the time and telling I was a victim. Almost no one I know does that. It's bizarre and weird. That's not even the worst part, though. I was going to show these clips in order, but you know what? fuck it. I am going to play these clips out of order because, or I guess in order now, because this has really been seeing this clip again. For those of you folks who haven't been involved in this Owen shit, and who are wondering what's been going on, this is why I've been so damn agitated for months. So, back in December, right after Christmas, Owen named Brian Eskew and another gentleman, but he mainly focused on Brian, and accused Brian of trying to poison his kids with gummy candies on a live stream. Now, Brian put up this clip on his channel today, so I'm assuming that now that this is public, Brian, it's okay that I play this clip. So, this has had me fucking livid. And as I spoke about last week, I did a whole tribute show to Andrew Breitbart. Breitbart was fearless when it went to going after the left, but Breitbart was also willing to call out the frauds and the liars in the conservative movement, the self-imposed narcissists who, try and use the conservative cause to build their own platform. So this is what Owen did, because Brian was one of the people who, I don't know the whole motive, but I'm assuming that this was partially due because Brian was one of the people who tried to warn Owen about the whole Nimmer thing, and so as a result, this bullshit story and this bullshit narrative got made up. So here's Owen falsely accusing Brian of poisoning his kids on a live stream, which still has not been taken down. And, pretty much ruining Brian's holiday and better part of this year, I would say. Fuck it, let's roll the tape.
I saw people coming at Eric like that, and this is a war vet who's missing all his teeth from fucking shrapnel, who's battling cancer.
Now, just to play this in just to put this in context, this was way before before Owen admitted that that Nimmer was a fraud. This was when he was still trying to defend Nimmer and saying that he was a good guy, as you'll see here. Brian writes in the chat, to be fair, I didn't try and warn Owen. This was between me and Nimmer. Owen dragged himself into this. True. Okay. So, I'll renege on my earlier comment. Some of us did try and warn Owen, but yeah, let's see. So let me play this from the beginning. So this is Owen doubling down on the Nimmer thing back sometime last year.
I saw people coming at Eric like that, and this is a war vet who's missing all his teeth from fucking shrapnel, who's battling cancer, crushes on stage, had my back when a lot of motherfuckers didn't, and is a really good person. And then they go on my Vimeo page and start slandering Eric that he makes women.
And what you're seeing on the screen and what my face is coming up, let me see if I can move this window. So, Nimmer sent a DM. This was part of like a DM's chat. This was before I even joined the Unbearables. I mean, I should stretch before I stretch her. This was referring to one of the bears' girlfriends too. This was one of those nasty DMs that Nimmer sent around.
Comfortable in Chicago. I was with him the whole time in Chicago. That motherfucker doesn't make anyone uncomfortable. He makes everyone feel very, very comfortable. These people that now hate Eric, they saw a guy killing on stage. They saw a guy, they probably in the back of their head, they're like, that big black cock of his, I bet he's got a fucking hammer on him. Unlike my little fucking nothing cock. And, the way
So what you're seeing on screen now is basically the part where this was part of the FOIA that Chuck got, basically saying that Nimmer did not serve in the United States Marine Corps, as he claimed.
You're Eric. The way I give Eric attention, the way Eric is rising quickly, and people really like Eric, and so then they just get angry. DZ is trying to troll the super chats.
So, fast forward to December. This is the moment where Owen falsely accuses and doxes Brian Eskew and falsely accuses him of trying to poison his kids.
All the money they want. I mean, one of those guys, I'm pretty sure, tried to poison my son. So I don't take that very. I mean, these people are so evil and sick. It's I can't believe they're trolling. Because there's not a lot you can do with the criminal system. Unfortunately, it's all good. We know who they are, and if they ever did anything again, maybe I should just say all their names. Just see what anyone says. I'm not saying anything. But if I'm just like, hey, I'm not going to say what to do to them. But that would be insane.
So Owen even admits, right before saying the name, that he shouldn't say the name. Because he knows deep down, and yes, I am fucking yelling, and no, I'm not going to turn down my volume. So if you're listening to this on earbuds, and I'm too loud, apologies, you're going to have to turn down your volume. This is right before Owen says those names. He says he shouldn't say those names, and whatnot. Johnny writes, so I want to know, did he file a false police report? We don't even know if he went to the police. As far as I know, we don't know if Owen went to the police or anything. He just said that the law can't do anything, which is ironic, which is funny, because I'm pretty sure that if you actually went to the cops and said that someone tried to poison my kids, they would say, "Oh shit, we better look into that." So yeah, so this is complete fucking bullshit.
Someone would do some shit, so I'm not going to do that. Because that could really escalate things. Ryan Eskew. Yeah, that's the guy. That's one of the guys that sent my kid poison candy. That's his name. Real sick puppy. Smart.
Okay, so what you're seeing now on screen is I believe a direct message where Artling says in a DM, I'm not sure if this was addressed to Brian himself or to someone else, but Aaron Hartling, who basically was one of Owen's main guys, was at the time he was Owen's graphic designer. He admits in a DM And he says, where to start? Off the bat, the gummy penises were not poison. When Nimmer and I were there last summer to film The Last Bernie Bro, Amy went into labor. So Nimmer and I just hung out while they were gone. Someone had some own gummy penises that got opened on the stream. Nimmer and I were hungry and ate them, and we joked what if they were poisoned, but they never actually were. So they were dusty tasting. So, and by the way, Artling got screwed over by Owen for basically saying I'm out after after Owen went on his whole moon landing denial stuff. So he was out. Now, Kyle Kavanaugh, no relation to the great Justice Kavanaugh, thank God. But Kyle Kavanaugh was the one who fed Owen Brian's name on this stream. Let me back this up a little bit so you can hear. Okay, I think this is it.
These people are so evil and sick. It's I can't believe they're trolling. Because there's not a lot you can do with the criminal system. Unfortunately, it's all good. We know who they are, and if they ever did anything again, maybe I should just say all their names, just see what anyone says. I'm not saying anything, but if I'm just like, hey, I'm not gonna say what to do to them. But that would be insane.
So again, Owen admits that he shouldn't say their name because he knows that people would, take things too far. Possibly. He knows. Look at his face if you're watching on the video. He knows that what he's out to do is bad. He knows deep down.
Someone would do some shit, so I'm not going to do that.
Cut to 5 seconds later.
Because that could really escalate things. Ryan Eskew, yeah, that's the guy. That's one of the guys that send my kid poison candy. That's his name.
And just like that, he says Brian Eskew. He says his name on stream, falsely accuses him of poisoning his kids. This gets better though. This gets, better / way fucking worse. Depending on how you look at it. Let me say it this way. This video is about ready to get better in terms of its content, in terms of exposing the truth. But worse in the sense that the truth of what actually happened is just so god-awful.
Real sick puppy. Smart, deleted all the proof. So, and then you realize how little control you have. It's attempted murder. Is he going to jail? No, there's nothing I can do. That's the thing. There's once you involve law enforcement, if you can't do anything, you can't do anything. So I just check my mail now, and we have guns everywhere, and you just keep going on. They deserve to go to jail. They deserve to have a lot more than go to jail. And they've been trolling me for months now, and they just kept escalating until they sent poison to my house. And they were trying to kill me. Once Brian Eskew did that, and I realized how little...
He says his name a second time in the stream too. He says it a second time. And notice here, folks, he's not drunk, or at least it appears that way. Who knows with him? He doesn't appear drunk. He doesn't appear on anything. He's stone cold sober, as near as I can tell. Yet Near Eye just nailed it. Nothing I can do because I'm playing the victim. Pay me. Yeah, that's what this was. It was a whole big, well, it was more than a cash grab scheme. It was way more nefarious than that. But I mean, this was one of the things. It was a cash grab scheme partially, but it was also a scheme to frame people that he didn't like, for whatever reason in his sick, twisted mind.
Repercussions I could actually do. Yeah, he threatened many people. He's sick. He's gonna kill somebody. Brian Eskew. Names. That's exactly right, Kyle. Their names are Brian.
So, again, that's Owen said to Kyle Kavanaugh in the chat. That's the Kyle that he's referring to. Kyle was the one who basically, put Brian's name in the chat. So, and Owen read it not once, not twice, but 3 times. Too bad you didn't keep Kyle's name out of it, because now we know that Kyle Kavanaugh is linked to it. So, yeah, Owen's just really slimy.
SKEW, that is their names. These are people that tried to poison my son, Walter. That's who they are. And so if anything happens, they did it. Oh, and they're truly disgusting people, if that, what you say is true. Oh, it's...
If anything happens, they did it. Wow, so, I mean, that's, that's really reassuring. If anything happens to me or my family, these guys did it. Brian and his crew, they did it. Yeah, no trial, no investigation, just these guys did it if anything happens. So,
Of course it's true. I opened the package, honestly.
Of course it's true. See, notice that a lot of these American, this was the other reason why I and others left. Conservatives aren't yes men, or at least they shouldn't be. I'm not a yes man. And, Owen just wanted yes men. So, of course, they would never question. They would just say, oh, it's not true, is it? And Owen said, of course it is. And, of course, they believed their dear leader because he would never lie to them. Right? Right, Owen? You would never lie to your sycophantic worshippers. Would you? Would you, Owen?
Green, guys. Candy. Eat a bag of dicks.
So for those of you listening on the audio podcast, this is a flashback to before the doxing incident where Owen opens the bag of candy dicks on stream.
From American. Right, Kyle. Their names are up. And so if anything happens, they eat a bag of dicks. From American as fuck. Gummy Candy's bag of dicks. Dicksbymail.com. Whoever sent me this is pretty hilarious. But apparently this is oh dude, these are actual dick shapes. I was going to say I'm going to give this to Walter, but I can't even give it to Walter. I'm not going to have him eat, like, dick-shaped candy. Yeah.
That's all it was. Those were the gummies in question, ladies and gentlemen. Those are the gummies in question. And at the time, over the summer, when Owen opened those, he giggles at them. He chuckled them. Everyone thought it was funny. It's a gag gift that you can order online. Dicks by mail. Also, for those of you who are listening to this on audio, the gummy dicks were sealed. They were factory sealed, so no one could have poisoned them unless, someone at Dicks by Mail was, selling poison-laced gummy candy, which of course they're not, but if they were, that's a nefarious business practice. So, those were the gummies in question. And, I know that there were some random bears who were like, oh no, those aren't the gummies in question, those are different. No, those are the only gummies that Owen opened. Those are the ones, they're not poisoned. So Owen's full of crap.
Little penises. They made little penises because this guy makes weed candy. That's what he does. That's what Brian Eskew does. Eskew. He makes marijuana candy.
Oh, he spells his name on stream, too.
And he sent me penis candy. And apparently they were poisoned.
No, Josh is not a bear.
So, now we're flashing to Kyle Kavanagh, who's a wormy, slimy Canadian Canuck. He's bitching about Josh Rogers Sr., who is a stand-up guy, by the way. Josh has been a savage, Well, he was the one who came up with the nickname of Savage Sam and whatnot. So Josh is a good guy. So is Brian. Yeah. Josh basically writes in the
part of danger zone and all.
Shut up, Kyle. I wasn't done talking yet. So Josh Rogers Sr. writes in the comment, Kyle, you are inherently responsible for having Owen name on streams and involving false accusations on innocent people. And it won't be looked over. That was wrong move, Kyle. So that was basically Josh's response to Kyle, and this was Kyle's response. Let me back this up.
Apparently they were poisoned.
No, Josh is not a bear. Josh is part of danger zone and all their fucking nonsense. So, and Josh, the term you're looking for is directly responsible. And as you guys have been threatening people and shit, yeah, I have no regrets. Maybe if you guys fucked off for a week or two, just acted like adults and walked away, I wouldn't hold a grudge,
And Nimmer was not a Marine, and I doubt he has cancer. And if he fucking kills himself, that's not on me.
So that clip was from, after Owen came to the revelation that Nimmer was lying. So that's the end of the clip. I'll have one more of Owen to play. But let me just address something here. Because this rant has been a long time coming. I've been itching to do this one for months. I've held my tongue out of respect to Brian and to the DZ. But now that everything is out in the open, so look, I first joined the Unbearables because I wanted to find a community of like-minded conservatives who were funny, who were creative, who had good morals, and who were upstanding people. I met a lot of bears in my short time, a lot of people in the Unbearables in my short time. To be honest, I was an unbearable for less than a month. The group that I gravitated towards the most, the subgroup that I gravitated the most to was Brian's group. Brian's stream group. They took me in and really helped me with some of my content. They insisted that I get the Whitfield Report up on YouTube. So I did, and they helped me grow my channel. Brian's always been an upstanding guy, as has John. He's also been a big help. John Neary. They've been outstanding guys. The entire DZ crew has been outstanding. At worst, they're trolls. At best, they're all guys who you can have an honest and frank conversation with and talk about deep shit with them. And they may give you shit, but they're good guys. Brian's been open and honest about how he's made mistakes in life. He's not perfect. But Brian's a good guy. A genuinely good guy. And for these accusations, for these false accusations just to be put the fuck out there with no proof, no evidence, and it's just fucking aggravating. Now I left the Unbearables because after the now infamous roast battle between John and Nimmer, people started accusing John of racism within the Bears. And although I was new at that point, I knew for a fact that John Neer was not a racist, that no one in the D and what is now called the DZ was a racist. And I had a suspicion, even though I didn't know the whole story at the time, that Nimmer was a slimy fuck. I never liked the guy. And let me tell you something too. A lot of the Bears, from day one when I was coming into the Unbearables, they tried to shake me down and pressure me into donating to Nimmer's special. And when I wouldn't because I had a limited amount of funds, a lot of them were nasty to me. So that should have been my tip-off that things were fucked from the beginning. I did not join the Bears to get into idol worship. And that's what the Bear is to Owen. It's an idol. it's an idol. And, Owen's also on the shtick of being a Christian. Well, Owen, I'm pretty sure that the Bible says there shall be no false idols put before me. Right? I'm not saying I'm perfect in my faith, but, even with all my flaws, I do have faith in the Lord Jesus Christ, and I'm pretty sure that cult mentality and all that is not what our Lord and Savior would want. Pretty sure that false accusations of murder, that's not in there. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And I'm not saying I'm without sin. I've made my fair share of mistakes. But point being, I'm not trying to act as if I'm wholly righteous either. I'm not trying to pretend that I'm flawless. I'm not trying to pretend that I'm going to save Western civilization or humanity from a globalist cabal. Not alone, I'm not going to. I'm not trying to save the state of comedy either. I'm a guy who's doing commentary, who's doing political commentary, because I think I have some insights that can help the conservative movement, and that maybe in a small way I can help save Western civilization in a small way. But I'm also a guy who just wants to entertain people for a few hours a week and on the weekends and make people laugh. I want to build a community here. I want to share stories. I want to entertain people. I want to have honest conversations. And I realize there's a lot more to life than internet streaming as well. My life isn't dedicated to 3-hour to 6-hour live streams either, Owen. I'm just trying to build that small community. And I'm not... Look, if I make money on this, that's great. And I'm grateful that I do have supporters who have helped the show. But the money will hopefully be a byproduct from the show. But I'm doing this because I love podcasting. I always have. I love the Savages. You guys that build up this audience. I really do. You guys make this show special. And Owen doesn't even treat his fans right. So not only was I outraged again to see the clip of Brian's name being shouted out on stream, but this is brand new shit. Okay, the clip I am about to play for you is one of the most disturbing clips of Owen I've seen, period. This one genuinely disturbs me. To Steven Crowder, to Ben Shapiro, to Joe Rogan, to Gavin McInnes, to anyone else who claims to be a public figure in the conservative movement who was previously associated with Owen. So yes, I'm talking to the bigwigs now. You guys might want to pay attention and pay attention good. Because this is what Owen, who you have previously associated with, this is what he has now come to. This is the most disturbing thing I've seen him do, and he's done a lot of disturbing shit. But this takes the cake. So here's Owen's most recent display calling for public violence. This is disturbing. Okay. Let's roll the tape.
Open borders are not happening in my chat. This is the last time I ever do open chat. I've been catching some of the people, and not only do I not want an open chat, I don't want anyone ever coming into my country ever again, and I want to start weeding out the weak. So when people go, oh my God, what are you scared of? I'm not scared of shit. I'm not scared to the point where I'm like, who needs to die? Scared? Oh, dude. All right, let's start talking about some shit. No more. Guys,
Okay, I'm not scared to the point where I'm like, who needs to die? Okay, this is beyond hate speech, in air quotes. This is beyond, whatever grievance Jack might have with, Ben Shapiro over calling out transgender people. You guys on the left, you guys wanted your crazy right-winger, quote-unquote, gone berserk. Owen, here's the thing. Owen's not even a conservative. He's a fucking leftist. Posing. He's a wolf in sheep's clothing. But, I mean, I know that expression is hilarious. But keep in mind, let me just back this up again. Because this is some scary shit. Okay, let's play this over again, shall we?
I want to start weeding out the weak. I don't want anyone ever coming into my country ever again, and I want to start weeding out the weak. So when people go, oh my God, what are you scared of? I'm not.
I want to start weeding out the weak. Again, this is him going crazy. Or crazier, I should say.
Scared of shit. I'm not scared to the point where I'm like, who needs to die? Scared? Oh.
Okay, yeah, not only that, but he can't stream because his video card is dying / but all that aside, who needs to die? Owen is doing the shit that mass shooters do before they go and do a school shooting. Here's my manifesto. We need to get rid of the weak people. Here's who needs to die. This is shooter manifesto bullshit right here. And I'm not saying he's going to be the one to do this. Who knows? Maybe nothing will come of this. I don't know. But the fact that this is out there is fucking scary. Again, this is a guy who has been on the Daily Wire. He's been on Steven Crowder's show. He's been on countless other outlets. This is the guy that everyone needs to disavow, and disavow quickly, because he is now literally making calls to violence en masse. This is legitimately scary shit. This is shit that deserves to be taken off YouTube. This is I mean, I'm so livid, I don't even know what to say. It gets better, though.
Alright, let's start talking about some shit. No more. Guys, I'm never, ever doing open chat again. And I know some people are like, hey, thanks for open. No. Someone just called my wife a name. I can't kill the person. They're just a little, no. Out, gone, never again. You guys are weeds.
So your first response to someone calling his wife a name is, I want to kill that person. That is a really healthy reaction, Owen. Wow. This guy is peak mental health. This is peak mental health, ladies and gentlemen. And yes, I'm being fucking sarcastic.
But Big Bear, you won't have as many people.
I don't care if he's being a pussy. I don't care if he's being a pussy, David. He made a call to violence on the fucking internet. And the way he's been acting lately, I mean, some people might say I'm overreacting with the potential shooter thing. Here's the thing, though. I don't think I am. Again, it might not be him, but it might be. You know, he might motivate the next crazy person to go and do stupid shit. Yeah.
Good. This isn't for everybody. Frankly, idiots don't know how to handle it properly. Did he just call for violence? Oh my God. Not yet, but I will. At some point, there will be a call to violence. There always is. There always is. For all of history, all time, there's always a tipping point when violence is necessary. Not yet, but it will be. So, you know, you might want to gear up.
Oh boy. Well, actually, Owen, you just lied, because you did make a call to violence earlier. Let me go back. Let me fucking go back.
Weeding out the weak. So when people go, oh my God, what are you scared of? I'm not scared of shit. I'm not scared to the point where I'm like, who needs to die?
That's a call to violence right there, Owen.
Scared? Oh, dude. All right, let's start talking about some shit. No more. Guys, I'm never, ever doing open chat again. And I know some people are like, hey, thanks for open. No. Someone just called my wife a name. I can't kill the person. They're just a little, no, out, gone, never again. You guys are weeds. But Big Bear, you won't have as many people watching. Good. This isn't for everybody. Frankly, idiots don't know how to handle it properly. Did he just call for violence? Oh my God. Not yet, but I will. At some point, there will be a call to violence. There always is. There always is. For all of history, all time, there's always a tipping point when violence is necessary. Not yet, but it will be. So, you might want to gear up.
Just because he's hammered, Evil Eric, doesn't mean he doesn't mean it. So again, to Gavin, to Steven Crowder, to Joe Rogan, to Clavin, to whoever else has a major platform who he's been on within the last year or 2 years or so, you may want to publicly disavow from this guy. Not only disavow him, but you may want to condemn him, as I already have, as ROTC already has. He's calling for violence now. And people may say, oh, well, he's just drunk or he doesn't really mean it. Doesn't matter. He's made the call to violence. I can tell you that there are certainly crazy people who watch his streams. He might not do anything, but I guarantee one of his audience members will. And because he's been labeled as a right-winger or as a conservative voice, unfortunately, they will try and label whatever Owen does or whatever one of his followers do. The media will try and, link Owen's rhetoric to maybe the next thing. I don't know. This is my prediction. One of his fans, he might very well do something, in the future. Someone will try and link his rhetoric to that, and say that the conservative movement is dangerous, and because he's been painted in our corner, unfortunately, it'll be open season for, you think things are bad now with Twitter censoring conservatives. They'll get a lot worse if this asshole continues to be associated with us. And, things will get way worse. Aside from all, so, first things first, he needs to be publicly disavowed. Not just by us smaller YouTubers, but by the big voices in media as well. He needs to be publicly disavowed. Law enforcement, I see, now we're in the same conundrum that he thought he was in with us. I don't know if he can do anything. But, this definitely is worrisome, ladies and gentlemen. It is. So, you can't, Eric nailed it. You can't put calls for violence out to strangers. That's not a free speech issue. Exactly, dude. So, we've tried to warn you. I don't know who you are, but I guess the general public. This is a warning to the general public about Owen Benjamin. We've warned you. We've shown you the evidence of his decline. So something needs to be done. So within legal parameters, of course. So take that what you will. But anyway, folks, it's been a pretty jam-packed show tonight. I want to thank all of you who tuned in. Thanks to all of you who have liked the stream. 11 likes, 1 dislike. Not bad. Thanks to all of you who contributed to the super chat. If you'd like to support the show monthly, as always, you can go to anchor.fm/Whitfield Report to support the show on a monthly basis. If you would like to PayPal me, you can support me with one-time contributions at paypal.me/Whitfield Report. As always, please subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star rating and a review. And thanks for watching and or listening wherever you are in past, present, future hour. From all of us here at NGC1, good night, God bless, and God save this great nation. I'll be back for the American Watchman Roundtable podcast tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern. Thanks for tuning in. Good night, and God bless.